Hey, what's going on, you guys? So we're here for episode 6 of the Trainer Talk. We've got Bethany and Austin joining us again. Today we're going to be covering sleep and how important it is for not just your results in the gym, but just your everyday life, overall health, and how much it impacts basically everything in the human body. So we're going to go ahead and start off just kind of different benefits of sleep, and then we're going to go into different things that we do to help improve your sleep and things that you can start applying right away to help improve your sleep and feel better overall. Okay, so first thing, we'll have Bethany kind of talk about the different kind of sciencey stuff with sleep and how it affects the body, and then we'll go into more about the effects and kind of ways you can improve it.
So some of the basic things of sleep is there are 4 different stages. So there is, when you're awake, there is light sleep, REM sleep, and deep sleep. REM sleep is when your brain is actually recovering from the day. So that's when dreams occur. So that's how your brain kind of processes what happened throughout the day. And actually a lot of things can be telling through your dreams of any mental stress that you're having. And then deep sleep is where your body actually recovers. So that's where, if you worked out that day, that's where your body is starting to repair your muscles and kind of prepare you for the next day. But if you're not getting enough sleep, or you're not getting high enough quality of sleep, then that will reduce the REM and deep sleep amount and time, so then you're not able to recover as well. And part of that is because as we age, we produce less human growth hormone, and that's kind of what facilitates the muscle growth, the fat loss, which is produced through good sleep. Having that good quality REM and deep sleep, which we tend to lose as we age. When we're younger, it's much easier to get a good night's sleep. You get all of your hours because you have a set bed and wake time. Because when you're younger, it's okay, 9 o'clock is bedtime, and then you have to get up at the next morning for school at, say, 7 o'clock. That's 9 hours of sleep, maybe even a little bit
10.
more. And that's kind of a telling tale of having our circadian rhythm in sync, because if you have a set bedtime and a set wake time, your body naturally adapts to it, and it knows okay, it's almost 9 o'clock. It's time to wind down and go to bed. Your body naturally starts to go into sleep mode, and then your body will naturally wake up the next morning around the same time. For me, I always naturally wake up around 5:30. It doesn't matter if I go to bed a little bit later or a little bit earlier. My body just wants to wake up at 5:30, just because that's typically the time I'll get up and I'll set my alarm. So your body can actually get used to that, and I don't know if you guys experience this, but when you wake up on your own, it's a little bit more refreshing, just because you wake up in a lighter stage of sleep. Whereas if you wake up in REM or deep sleep, you end up feeling kind of groggy, just because you're not gradually awoken from that sleep state, and it can actually impact you for the rest of the day. And then just another thing with sleep, with recovery and just overall wellness, is our hormones. We want to have balanced, regulated hormones, and sleep is one of the key factors, besides nutrition, to regulating your hormones. I discussed, the human growth hormone, and then also cortisol and insulin can also help be regulated through sleep. So if you have a history of insulin problems in the family, or you yourself struggle with that, getting the quality 7 to 9 hours of sleep is crucial. And it's not just about the amount, but it's about quality, improving that through various ways, via different things, which I'm sure.
So I have a question. So what are some things that affect quality of sleep? Obviously, you find that people with children and people with, especially little babies, their quality of sleep declines. So what are some other things that contribute to declining sleep quality?
So the temperature of your room affects how you sleep. The timing of your meals affects how you sleep. What time you wake up affects your quality of sleep. Caffeine intake. A lot of people, we live in a world of coffee drinkers, energy drinkers. So if you're drinking energy drinks all the way through the afternoon, that's going to affect your quality of sleep. The white noise, noises in the background, things like that, is going to also affect your sleep. Big thing is the blue light. So what I wanted to touch on was we're supposed to be in sync with the earth, and 70% of Americans roughly, they struggle with low quality sleeps, feeling the grogginess, and that's why they need all this coffee and energy drinks. And it's because when it gets dark out, we produce melatonin. We're supposed to be going to bed when it gets dark, waking up when it gets light. That's why she said it's easier to wake up when you're kind of in a lighter stage of sleep. As it gets light, your skin has photoreceptors. So even though your eyes are shut and it's dark, your skin actually senses light, and it will keep you from going into a deep sleep. So we'll touch on that in a minute too, on the darkness of your room and stuff. But it'll start to wake you up and you wake up more naturally. So that's why when you sleep in until 7 and it's light and the sun's shining in, you wake up feeling kind of like refreshed almost, rather than when you wake up and it's dark. And if you're in the middle of the sleep cycle, which typically every 90 seconds or 90 minutes is a sleep cycle, so you wake up in the middle of one, you're going to feel a little bit of grogginess as well. So if you are setting your alarm, try to make sure it's right at the end of a sleep cycle. So like 6 hours or 7.5 hours or 9 hours. That will actually help you wake up as well. But some things that I do to kind of like help battle some of these effects of your sleep are making sure that like your room is set to the right temperature. So the book that I read called Sleep Smarter, it recommends anywhere from like 62 to 68. It can kind of be adjusted a little bit based on preference, but 60 to 70 degrees. You don't want it really, really warm. When your body temperature is too high, it'll actually wake you up and you'll tend to toss and turn a lot more. So we want to be more cool. You want to snuggle up with your blanket. So make sure your bedroom's a little bit cooler at night. Make sure that you're avoiding caffeine. Like after 2 p.m. you want to have no caffeine. So typically about 8 hours before you plan on going to bed, you should try to have your last serving of caffeine or just not have any beyond that point. Room darkening curtains is a huge thing. So like I was saying, the light coming in and touching your skin, the photoreceptors will keep you from going into as deep of a sleep. So like she was saying, with the REM and the deep sleep, that's where we're recovering. And that's where we're recovering our mind and our body. So if you're just getting a light sleep, you might be in bed for 8 hours and think that you got 8 hours of sleep. So you're wondering to yourself why you're not recovered or why you're so tired. And it could be because the blue light from your TV, or there's light coming in through the curtains of your windows. Your phone screen might be on and lighting up all night. And that stuff is actually touching your skin and it's keeping you from going into such a deep sleep. So that is probably the number one thing that you can do. Room darkening curtains, make sure your phone is locked and flipped over, or maybe even not even in the room at all. If you can, try not to have TV in your bedroom. Make sure it's off, even like the little tiny power light. And you can hardly see it, like the white light when your TV's off, the red light when your TV's off. That's enough to affect your photoreceptors. They actually did a study where they had somebody sleep with a flashlight on the back of their knee, and they got a way more poor quality of sleep just from the flashlight hitting the back of their knee. So the photoreceptors actually kept them from getting that deep sleep. So it's kind of crazy, the effects of that. There's a lot more that we'll kind of go into. Another thing that I do is I always sleep with a fan on, so a little bit of white noise in the background. We make sure our TV's off, make sure the phones are off, like I was saying. Another thing that you can do is, a lot of people are just stressing out about what they have to do the next day. So do like a brain dump before you go to bed. Turn off your phone, the TV, half hour before you go to bed. Maybe read a book, write down things that you want to do for the next day. That way you're kind of getting all your thoughts down on paper, kind of doing a little brain dump, and that way you're able to relax easier, produce the melatonin, and go to bed. I will say one nice thing is like with lamps, like the orange light from a lamp is not nearly as much as the blue light from like your phone. So that is more similar to like sunlight or the moonlight. So it's not going to be as drastic in keeping you awake as blue light is. That's why they say blue light, you want to try to avoid that. And that's why they make blue light glasses, stuff like that. So if you are somebody that is on their phone or laptop before you go to bed, at least buy some blue light glasses. That will help you just kind of make more melatonin and fall asleep and stay asleep better. Kind of at the opposite note of that, it's also important to wake up the right way. So try not to snooze, wake up, and if you immediately get blue light to you, it'll kind of set your circadian rhythm. Okay, it's time to wake up. and then it'll get your body up and moving, kind of get a little boost of energy. So actually it's a good thing to have light immediately in the morning. And you might experience this, like you wake up and it's dark and you kind of just want to lay back down and go to bed. So if you get up, get moving, and get some light to you, like go outside and watch the sunrise, that's why it's one of the most probably peaceful things there is, and it wakes you right up. Get some fresh air, move your body a little bit, that's going to help you set you up for the next night's sleep, which I'll kind of let Austin talk about exercise, moving your body and how that can improve your sleep as well.
Yeah, so exercise has obviously been shown to improve sleep quality. So there was a study done in 2013 that polled Americans, and it found that people that exercise, whether it be light, moderately, or vigorously, improve their sleep by like 60 to 70%. So exercise can really help you feel tired and sleep better, but also exercise can make sure that you don't get OSA, or obstructive sleep apnea. So it found that 60% of OSA comes from obesity. So exercise, losing weight, staying healthy can help with sleep apnea. So that's one big thing. I found too that when I work out really hard, I always sleep a little bit better that night. I feel like it's easier to fall asleep, so I always recommend exercising. It does not matter really what time either. You could do it right away in the morning and still get the benefits from that later at night. So that's one thing that I really found to help my sleep is exercise. Another thing is having a nighttime routine. So a bedtime routine, just as important as a morning routine. It can consist of brushing your teeth, turning off electronics around you, just having the lights dimmer. There's different things that you can do. You can keep a journal. Another good thing to do, or another fun, I guess, cool thing to do is keep like a dream journal or a sleep journal. So when you wake up, you kind of just jot a few words down about how you feel or what you dreamt about. That's a cool way to kind of gauge how your sleep is and where you're at.
Yep. And that's kind of goes into like tracking your sleep almost. Like maybe you do something one night and you journal it the next morning, and you can kind of learn what things help you get a better night's sleep. And something that like Bethany and I do is we have our Whoops, which is basically like a fitness tracker. It tracks your heart rate, your strain during the day, your recovery, and it tracks your sleep. And so we've been kind of playing around with different things over the past few months on how to improve our sleep score. So it'll show us like how well we recovered, our disturbances, our heart rate, all that stuff. So doing these things that we talked about have really drastically improved our sleep and our percentage. And like I said earlier, it doesn't matter how many hours you're sleeping, it matters the quality of sleep. Like I said, if you're sleeping 8 hours, but it's all in a light stage, you're not recovering your brain, you're not recovering your body. And for those of you guys that are busting your butt in the gym, you don't make progress in the gym. You lose all your fat and you gain all your muscle while you're sleeping. Yeah. So when you think about that, that's insane. I mean, all those calories that you're burning, the hour of cardio that you're doing every day, you don't lose the body fat then, you lose it basically when you're sleeping. So that's something powerful to think about. So we want to make sure we're improving the quality of sleep. You might not be able to sleep longer. If you have a strict schedule and you can only be in bed for 7 or 8 hours, you want to make sure you're getting the best 7 or 8 hours of sleep as you possibly can. But things that we do to help with our sleep quality is the temperature. I set a bedtime and a wake up time, so I'm trying to be in bed at a specific time within about a half hour of each other. So for me, I'm in bed usually at 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m., which is really early. I know I'll get some laughs out of that, but I like to be in bed at 8:30 because I'll read for about 10 to 20 minutes. That kind of relaxes me. I'm avoiding my phone. All I have is my book in front of me. I've got my fan on. I set the temperature of our room a little lower. For those of you guys that don't have air conditioning or central air, I would definitely recommend purchasing a window air conditioner for your bedroom. Even though you might have slightly higher energy costs than the cost of the air conditioner, I mean, they're pretty cheap. You can get one for your bedroom for like $100. But the amount of productivity that you're going to gain from the better sleep quality is going to like outweigh the cost of that air conditioner like 10 times over, because if you can get, say, 1 extra hour of high quality sleep, you're going to be like twice as productive during the day. So if you could gain 2 hours of productivity by increasing your sleep by 1 hour, like I would try to capitalize on that as much as I can. Another thing that I personally do is I take a sleep multiplier from Prestige Labs. Basically anything that's got some valerian root. Magnesium is a huge thing. Like over 70% of Americans are magnesium deficient, and that's like one of the most important minerals to the human body. So I highly recommend every single person to take some kind of high quality magnesium product. Don't just buy anything off the shelf. Do a little research, make sure it's studied and tested, but take a really good quality magnesium supplement, preferably right before bed. A lot of sleep products will have it in there. Valerian root, melatonin, things like that to help you just relax. Passion flower, things like that will help you relax. Fall asleep a little faster, and you'll get deeper sleep. I think other than that, those are the things that I do. I make sure that I never snooze. That's another thing. When you wake up and you hit the snooze button, that's almost like a little failure, and it will just continue to kind of lead to more small failures throughout the day. Not necessarily failures, but just like things that might not go as well as you would have liked. So start your day off with a positive note. Wake up, maybe get some things done, get those small wins, make your bed, things like that, and that's just going to set you up for the next night, and then you'll get a better night's sleep the next night as well. If I had to recommend like an amount of time in bed, make sure you're in bed for at least 7 hours. You might, here's something interesting is if you go to bed at 9, wake up at 5, and you might think, okay, I slept from 9 to 5, I got 8 hours of sleep. Well, something I've noticed, I'm not sure if Bethany does too, but on my Whoop, I'm in bed for 7.5, but I only get 6.5 hours of sleep. So you're actually awake even though you don't know it. For me, it's about an hour every night. And I'll let Bethany kind of share what she does and what she has for her stats as well. So.
Yeah. So for me personally, I typically get about an hour and a half of deep sleep a night, which I think typically for like average Americans is only like 30 minutes. So it's like an extra hour, and like when I wake up, I just feel almost like I feel alert once I get out of bed. I'm alert. If I'm like still laying in bed and just not wanting to get up, then I'm not as alert and ready. And then I also do, it's a little bit interesting, some people might laugh at it, but I have a dawn and night simulator for an alarm clock. It actually simulates like the sun rising and sun setting. You can set it for like a certain number of time for like it grows in brightness to like naturally wake you up for like the photoreceptors. And then you can also set like a nature sound that you will wake up to. So like mine is birds. And it's changed the way that I wake up. Like when you wake up, you just feel so much more refreshed.
That's awesome.
Like
I
it's
really want
crazy.
to do that, but
Yeah.
me and Katie get up at different times, so I don't want to.
You can set 2 different alarms.
Yeah, she might wake up with a light.
I don't know if that's true. But there's also a nighttime one where it gradually gets dimmer, so like it's light, so you can have that brightness in your room, and it's warm light, so it's not like the blue light, so it gradually gets dimmer, and it kind of like signals to your brain that, hey, it's time to go to bed. So in that time, when I first turn it on, I set it for like 20 or 30 minutes, and I read while it's bright enough, and then it gets dark enough where I can't read anymore, so I put my book down, and then I turn on like a meditation sleep app, and it'll just kind of like walk you through like, okay, focus on your breath, and then focus on like different parts of your body, and it kind of like gets me into that mode of just like letting my mind relax, which then I'm like out like before the meditation pretty much finishes. Like,
Go ahead.
I always like feel like I don't finish the meditation, like I might and not realize it, but I always feel like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I didn't finish meditating. I'm kind of disappointed, but it always like knocks me out, just getting in like that habit and that routine.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Another thing you can do is like like taking a shower before you go to bed actually is proven to help you get a better night's sleep. And I know Austin likes to do yoga, and she mentioned meditating, yoga, stuff like that, like something nice for the body, just to kind of relax, releases the good hormones that you need to kind of relax and help you get a better night's sleep. I don't know if you do any yoga at night, but I know you do it in the morning too, right?
Yeah, almost every night.
Yeah.
It's like part of my bedtime routine.
Yeah. So it's kind of having a routine, like, and you should have a morning routine and a nighttime routine. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like, for me, it's just I make sure that I'm at least in bed at a certain time, and then I try to avoid blue light, make sure my room's dark and I read. So that's the extent of my nighttime routine, other than brushing my teeth before I go to bed and taking my sleep multiplier. We typically get home, we'll eat dinner around 6, watch one episode of our TV show, so we're not like binge watching. That's the other thing, is maybe set like a certain amount of time that you're going to spend watching TV. A lot of times we get caught up, watching episode after episode. Everybody's done that and been there. And that's a lot of times what causes us. You're constantly exposed to blue light, for one, but you're also staying up later than you should. So it's kind of like a double whammy that's going to affect your sleep, and we want to try to avoid that. So maybe just set a limit or a time to where you're like, okay, I'm going to turn off the TV at this time and do something else, wind down for bed. That way I can wake up and get my day started. And something that we do to start our day is wake up and journal. Like, I use a app on my phone. It's a journaling app on my phone, and I have a quote of the day. I write down things that I'm grateful for, things that I'm going to accomplish that day, and then some affirmations. So just kind of start your day on the right note. Get a little bit of exercise if you can in the morning. Just move your body for 5 or 10 minutes. Or just get your workout in at some point that day. That will also help you get a better night's sleep as well. So, is there anything else that you guys do or want to add to that?
Just one thing with like the Whoop. We
Oh,
do a journal with it, so it'll ask you like, okay, did you do this before bed? What did you do yesterday? Like all these different things that you say like yes or no to. And for me, it gives a monthly report of like, okay, you said yes to this and your recovery was like this high, and like how it affects your sleep. And what it's been telling me very consistently, what affects my sleep in a positive or negative way, is the positive is when I'm hydrated. So when I'm drinking 12 plus glasses of water a day, and then so that'd be 96 ounces. So anytime I get over like 100 ounces, my recovery is way better than if I was reported like not being hydrated, not getting enough, then it's like tanked. Stretching improves it. Clean eating, so if my diet's cleaner than usual, or if I, eat out one day and have, like a cheat meal or something like that, then it definitely goes down. Blue light blocking glasses that I wear, if I wear that, then that definitely improves it. Magnesium, and then the sleep multiplier, when I take it, also shows that it's improved. And then what really affects it negatively by like anywhere from like 10 to 20% for like my recovery, my sleep, it's stress, a late meal, like watching TV or having your phone in bed, or if I was sick.
Yeah.
Like being sick actually showed that like my recovery and my sleep went really poorly,
Yeah.
which can also just be a sign of like that's like stress to your body, which is why it's doing that with recovery.
Which, not to mention, good quality sleep is going to help reduce stress drastically. And stress not only is increased when you don't get good sleep, but it also keeps you from sleeping. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So
Yeah.
making sure you're getting a good, high-quality night's sleep is going to help reduce stress. Also helps boost your immune system. So just talking about being sick, you're going to get sick a lot less often by improving your quality of sleep. It just helps everything in the body. I'd like to add some things that affected mine. I've noticed that if I do have really low energy during the day and I need some caffeine in the afternoon, if I have like a pre-workout at 5 o'clock, if you work out at night, and I do the caffeine with it, I notice the caffeine does affect my recovery score. My percentage will drop a little bit. If I have a couple of drinks on a weekend, I notice that the alcohol will affect my recovery score, which thankfully it's not very often, but I have noticed that the nights that we do have a couple of drinks, that it does affect my percentage of recovery. So that's another thing to think about. If you're having like a beer or two or a glass of wine or two every night, that's affecting your sleep every single night. So maybe try to limit that a little bit more, maybe just do it on the weekends, find something else, that way you're at least getting good, better sleep during the week. Just try to kind of play around with that. If I don't read, if I do watch TV right up until I go to bed, I notice I don't get as good a sleep. So that's why, this week I've had like anywhere from 70 to 95% recovery, which is really, really good. and I've been really good at getting in bed by 8 o'clock. Last night we were in bed at 7:30, but Katie worked this morning, I worked this morning. So we were in bed by 7:30, I read for a half hour, and then winded down and went to bed and got a really good recovery score. So try to set a bedtime, adopt some of those things, the temperature, the darkness of your room, try to avoid that blue light, and just see how you feel. Like literally, try it for a few nights. Like don't commit to it forever right away, because I know it's kind of hard. So maybe challenge yourself for this week. Like next week, I'm going to do this for all 5 nights. I'm going to shut off my phone and the TV at 10 o'clock. I'm going to, maybe you're going to brush your teeth or have a nighttime routine, read a book, journal, write something down that you're going to do the next day. It doesn't have to be really long, but just kind of do something to wind down. And then make sure your room's nice and cool. Make sure it's dark. And then set a wake up time and stick to that regimen for 5 days and see how it affects your energy, your mood, your stress, see how much better you feel. And then maybe it'll be something that you'll adopt and actually apply to your everyday life. I know I'll never not do this, especially during the week. Even on the weekends, I'm pretty much trying to stick to it unless, we have something going on. But even then, I have things that I'm doing to make sure that I'm at least optimizing my sleep the best I can, even if we're away or going out or camping or whatever we're doing. So I'm definitely grateful that we've done all this research and found out all the things that can improve sleep and affect sleep. And, it's definitely improved our lives, and we want to help you guys improve your life and get better results too. So if you guys have any questions on this, feel free to reach out. If you want our recommendations on what, maybe products or whatever you want to use, we can, we'll give you some suggestions on like the magnesium, things like that. So feel free to reach out. Other than that, you guys have anything else to add? I think that's it.
Yep.
So thanks for tuning in for episode 6. We'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.